From WCCO Television News, the Northwest's Communication Center, this is The Scene at 6 in color, with Skip Loescher for the vacationing Dave Moore, Bud Kraling, Hal Scott, and Al Austin with comment.
A good evening to you. Leading the scene at 6, 2 of the 3 suspects in the Cronholm kidnapping case pleaded not guilty to federal extortion charges today in a U.S. District courtroom in St. Paul. WCCO's Bill Stewart was there.
One of the suspects, James Johnson of Lakeville, was 45 minutes late in arriving. This is Bill Stewart, WCCO Television News at the Federal Building in St. Paul.
Ramsey County authorities have charged the Minneapolis man with 2 counts of second-degree murder in connection with the shooting deaths of 2 brothers in St. Paul last night. Police converged on this building at 588 Central Avenue shortly after 10. They found the bodies of 23-year-old Gregory Moore and his 25-year-old brother Henry in Gregory's apartment. About an hour later, the phone in the apartment rang, and 23-year-old Kevin Proctor of Minneapolis reportedly told police who answered it that he would surrender voluntarily. Proctor was picked up late this afternoon, charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. The Ramsey County Attorney's Office says the case will be presented to the grand jury Thursday afternoon. The deaths of the Moore brothers reportedly occurred during a shootout with their assailant. Police say they have apparently recovered the murder weapon. An unidentified 19-year-old youth has been arrested in connection with the fatal stabbing of a 23-year-old Anoka man, James Smeltzer. He was killed a couple of days ago in a farm field near Anoka. 17-year-old Ricky Gransbury has been sentenced to 3 to 20 years at the State Reformatory in St. Cloud. Today's sentencing follows his conviction on Friday on charges of shooting a Minneapolis cab driver in the head during a robbery last September. Heavy rains and several tornadoes swept across parts of Iowa last night, including a twister that destroyed a score of trailer homes and injured a dozen persons in West Branch, Iowa. This tornado was one of 3 spotted in Cedar County. A 4th tornado touched down in nearby Clinton County. The trailer homes were thrown in all directions, some landing on top of cars, furnishings scattered everywhere. There was also heavy rain and hail, with some 4 inches of rain reported in Des Moines. Some creeks and streams overflowed their banks, but the rains ceased by morning, and in West Branch, people were out picking up the remainder of their belongings. Much quieter here at home. St. Paul officials out today making final preparations for tomorrow's general election. Workmen delivered the last of the city's 481 voting machines to polling places throughout the city. The polls will be open tomorrow morning at 7. They'll stay open until 8 tomorrow night. Election officials pessimistically predict a very low turnout. Only about 70,000 of the city's 160,000 voters expected to vote tomorrow. Some folks have already voted, though. Absentee ballots were handed out today for the last day at the Election Bureau in the basement of City Hall. Voters who vote by absentee ballot are reminded that their ballots must reach the Election Bureau by tomorrow night's deadline to be counted. There was a little last-minute campaigning, too, today. Mayoral hopeful Dean Meredith greeted voters on the skyways downtown during the noon hour. But for the most part, the candidates, weary after a long campaign, just pretty much took the day off. The DFL incumbent, Larry Cohen, who hopes to be reelected to a second term, spent the day working on city business. Along with the mayor, voters will elect 7 city councilmen, 3 new school board members, and several minor officials. In a moment of protest against Ma Bell's proposed rate increase, and Al Austin with editorial thought on the Mitchell-Stans acquittal.
Who says there's no such thing as a sure thing?
A protest against the proposed rate increase requested by Northwestern Bell Telephone brought immediate results today. The Northeast Community Organization met with the Public Service Commission and was immediately told that no rate increase would be granted without a public hearing.
Yes, but we wanted your public assurance because we are very concerned about this issue. We have senior citizens, housewives such as myself who have to handle the budget. We have to handle increases after increase, and we wanted to hear that.
We have no way of knowing the justification for a rate increase. We go into a full hearing, and we have testimony from both those who are protestants as well as those who make the application. And I can assure you this too, that at the end of the hearings, your group or the public citizens that are interested may come in and make their case and make their presentation.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that these people are invited to attend any of the hearings at any time. They're open to the public, and any time you want to come, you're most welcome. I'm Bob Carroll. Well, good to see you, folks.
I'm Chairman of the Public Service.
Those rate increase hearings will be held for 3 days beginning the 29th of May. President Nixon goes on nationwide television tonight to explain how he will respond to a House Judiciary Committee subpoena. That subpoena is for tapes relating to the Watergate affair and other topics that the committee is studying in its impeachment investigation. The speech will be broadcast live here on WCCO television beginning at 8 tonight. What effects yesterday's acquittal of John Mitchell and Maurice Stans will have on those impeachment proceedings remain to be seen, but that acquittal has sparked the editorial thought of Al Austin. Al?
Skip, the Mitchell-Stans trial showed a couple of things about the judicial process. To secure a defense skillful enough to plant the doubts in jurors' minds. Skip?
Thank you, sir. New York Times personnel today shut off the Times' new computerized information service. That system allows subscribers to look up within seconds all stories published in the paper since 1969, plus items from 60 other periodicals, a total of some 500,000 articles. To work the system, the operator simply tells the computer what subject that he wants information on, and then chooses the appropriate articles from the summaries which appear on the screen, and microfilms the stories that he wants. The average cost for the service? A paltry $14,000 a year. We'll go to a goldfish swallow, a cow clip, and Bud's weatherboards in a moment. Well, friends, now that streaking has apparently become passé, goldfish swallowing is back. A California kid downed 250 of them this weekend, but a guy in Lackawanna, New York, dumped something like 650. Alan Laughlin reports.
It took 23-year-old Paul Zmuda 6 hours to swallow 630 goldfish. This is Alan Laughlin for CBS News in Buffalo.
Oh, dinner time, huh?
Well, he washed him down with water.
He certainly did, yes. I'm surprised he didn't use a martini or something that would give him courage.
Right now, though, we have a direct report from Lake Owasso.
What is it? Oh, heavens! They are doing that at Lake Owasso? Oh.
Well, the ice has
Water
gone out of the
Patrol.
lake, and Pam Murray and Emmett D. Williams say that Grandpa's pontoon boat is ready to sail on Lake Owasso.
Beautiful.
Certainly happy about that.
Yes, I was concerned about that pontoon boat.
Thanks to Pam and Emmett. We have partly cloudy skies. 56 is the temperature. Winds from the west 10 to 15 miles an hour. So, really, little change in the weather forecast for tomorrow.
That really isn't all that bad. Says here that 'tain't often that you see right here in the city something like this, friends. But land sakes, there she was. Old Bess was right uptown coming in to get dolled up. Now, she might have not entirely understood the whole process, but she should have been grateful because the FFA was giving that coiffure free. And Julie Larson of Hoffman, would ultimately place third in the statewide contest, proved very vividly that Future Farmers is no longer the male bastion that it once was. In fact, Ms. Larson is a candidate for state office in the organization. In all, the 8 state finalists went through the tournament finals of cow clubbing this afternoon. Myron Ofstall of Eagle Bend was the big winner. Cletus Willems of Northwood placed second. As we said, Ms. Larson was third. About 2,500 young people from all over the state are in town for the annual FFA convention, which will continue through tomorrow. The Indians invaded the Met today. The Twins probably wish they had not. Hal Scott with the film report in a moment.
And the 14 neighborhood first banks of the Twin Cities.
Well, we had a one-game winning streak going. Didn't quite manage to extend that any.
Well, you win some and you lose some, Skip. I tell you, there were some.
Philosophy is beyond me tonight.
There are always encouraging signs in a defeat. For instance, young left-hander Vic Albury pitched 8 1/3 innings, and he looked real good his first start this year. When you lose a 3-2 ball game, even though the Twins had the lead for most of the game, it's still encouraging when you know that a guy can go that long and pitch that well.
All we have to do is get somebody some runs.
Well, that's true, but that's the sign of good pitching, which I think always dominates good hitting. He was drafted, you may recall, a couple of years ago by the Montreal Canadiens. Skip.
Thank you, sir. We will footnote the scene at 6 in a moment.
Did counterweight work? It worked.
Rising interest rates had a detrimental effect on Wall Street today, although the Dow Jones Industrials did manage a slight gain. Trading was moderate on the New York Exchange. The average share of common stock lost 4 cents there, but it was up 6 cents on the American Exchange. President Nixon's speech, 8 tonight, live here on CCO Television. We'll see you again for the scene tonight later on. Have a good one.
From the Northwest Communication Center, this has been The Scene at 6. For more and later news, it's The Scene tonight at 10. Join us then on Color Channel 4.